Yo, what is going on? PartTimerZack here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Golden Vortex. I just hit level 65, and I've had a lot of you guys kind of asking me, hey, can you make a video on Golden Vortex? And I was like, hey, I just unlocked it, so why not? So I have played about 50% of the first chapter just to get an idea of how it kind of runs, and so I can kind of convey that to you guys. Now, the thing is, you do get rewards and stuff like that through going through the chapter. However, you do have AP, which is kind of like the way that the pain cage does it, where each character has their own like stamina, and you have to kind of worry about that resource as you're progressing through the chapter. However, whenever you get done with the chapter and go into, like, you know, for example, if I get done with chapter 1, go into chapter 2, all of that resets, so I can then again use the characters that I was using in chapter 1, and I can manage that resource in chapter 2. So it's nice that they actually let you kind of recap. Essentially, if you didn't have that recovery, I don't think it would be very possible at this current stage in the game to get very far, but it is giving you guys an idea of why it's going to be a little bit more important to have more and more units as these game modes kind of emerge, and essentially as you unlock them, you'll get an idea of why it's so important to have, you know, other DPSs and other units that are around 3,000, 4,000 BP. So when you go into this, it gives you like this one. Essentially, you watch it, it's like a little movie, and then you go into a branching path. So you can select whatever path you want, but do know that as you progress through one path, so for example, if I go to M4, I will eventually have to go back to this one because it will tell me, hey, you need to go back to this one for you to progress any further. So you can't just go onto one path and then like negate this one. You actually end up having to go back at some point and doing, you know, whatever stage it wants you to do to progress. Now, the cool thing is, as you progress through the whole entire thing, you do get an item list essentially, and it gives you some different buffs and helps out quite a bit. Like this one's for movement speed by 20%, and you can see that it actually unlocks during certain stages. As you can see, that corresponds with these ones. As I progress through the stages, it'll actually unlock stuff, giving me a little bit more of a boost. So the next cool part is going to be the rewards you get. So you get 300 per the BC here, and then you get a couple different rewards, as you can see, for clearing the chapters. So it is kind of cool to jump in here, and each one of these levels actually gives you some different things like supplies. They give you some stuff for memories and all kinds of different stuff. So when you jump into one of these, you can see that it has a BP limit of 3,000, and the required units is 1, meaning that you can't actually use a team if you wanted to. You'd essentially only have to use one unit essentially and go from there. So I've already used some of my BP just to get an idea of what it looked like, and each unit essentially starts out like, just so example, but her end, she has 12 AP, but it uses 4 to actually go through it. So I was hoping that it would be like 1 per, and you'd be able to kind of clear most of the chapter. Unfortunately, it is not. It is going to be 4 per thing. So you're going to be kind of required to limit it a little bit when it comes to the units you use. And I do recommend using some of the lesser units at the beginning, but you can see from, I've been pretty progressed into this, and the BP has not changed. It's been at 3,000. So I'm not sure if the chapters essentially start to kind of grind up. I would assume that, mainly because it gets a little bit harder, but the overall chapter for chapter 1 looks like it's just going to stay at 3,000, and then maybe chapter 2 is like 4,000, and so on and so forth. So like I said, it's going to be kind of important to jump in here and start to get some more units as you progress. Now, we will go ahead and try this. I'm not going to say that I'm going to be doing the best, and kind of the crappy part is it doesn't actually reset until you go into the next chapter. So I have been doing something like this where I've been kind of swapping off my weapons and memories to kind of boost some of my lesser units. Now, it does help out quite a bit because you can quick unequip essentially and then equip things. So I have been kind of doing that to help out some of my lesser units, but it doesn't help out, you know, tremendously, obviously, because some of the stuff is bound to certain characters. But these are pretty much like stories that you would see throughout the, you know, main storyline, and just some different stuff like that. So it is kind of cool to jump through these and kind of grind through them, because they're not all like very similar. They actually have some kind of rarity to them and some kind of variety to them. Now, I'm not sure how well we're actually going to do, if I'm being 100% honest, because I did try this a couple of minutes ago and kind of got my butt handed to me, because some of these are actually kind of hard. So it's not really like the unit themselves are hard to fight. It's more like the gimmick is actually kind of hard, because this guy will actually just continuously put enemies in front of me. So it's kind of like, do I go for the enemies and kill these guys, like these side guys, or do you just go for the main squeeze and try to kill him? So I will have to kind of experiment a little bit. If you guys need like a guide or anything on this stuff, like you're at a certain point where you're like, okay, well, I can't get past, you know, whatever level, let me know, and I can definitely start looking into making those. But from what I've understood, everything's been sort of easy, but I have been using my best units, like I said. So some of them have a little bit more gimmick to them, I would say, and some of them are pretty straightforward, where it's just like, hey, kill this dude, and you're like, all right, whatever. And then some of them have this stuff where it's like you're kind of fighting everything and anything, and I might end up dying. Actually, it'd be okay if I died, because I'd be able to kind of showcase what happens when you die, because there's kind of a decision you can make whenever you actually die. So okay, I died. That's fine, because I can actually make the decision here. So the thing is, you can reboot requests. So essentially what ends up happening is you can spend BC to recruit. So I'm going to go ahead, or reboot anyway. I'm just, for the sake of this, I'm going to do it. So it's 25 and then I end up coming back full health. So this is kind of one of those things where definitely up to you, obviously, but whenever you use BC like that, I would kind of recommend doing it on something that you just are so close to completing or whatever, because it's going to be kind of a waste whenever you do it for, you know, if you're in the middle of it, or you just know that the unit isn't going to be able to be capable of doing it if you recall yourself. But honestly, I would recommend just not doing it in the first place, because it's kind of a waste of BC, in my opinion, because you can kind of go in here and do it as many times as you need to do. You don't have to end up, you know, essentially going out, because it doesn't cost any stamina and it doesn't cost AP if you retreat. Essentially, you can just come in here again after you power up your character. So I don't really ever recommend doing it. I just did it for the sake of the video and giving you kind of an idea of what it looks like if you were to do it. So that is kind of the idea of Golden Vortex. It kind of gets cool when it comes to some of the different rewards. Like I said, it's kind of worth the BC and then kind of grinding through some of the different things. But like, I really kind of wanted to make this video to let you guys know that it is going to be a little bit more important to get some other units and get them a little bit buffer as you progress through the main storyline and going through the Golden Vortex. Anyway, guys, if you want to see more videos, definitely let me know down below. We have a poll going on right now to see if you guys want to see a little bit more on these missions right here. I wanted to kind of go over to see exactly which ones are the best of the best, but definitely let me know down in the comments if that's something you want to see. But anyway, guys, I will catch you in the next one. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Peace.